everybody. Welcome to the TRU Sportshow here on the Varsity Sports Network. I'm your co-host, Bobby Latmore, joined alongside next to Balin Trujillo. Balin, episode number 3, buddy. Time flies when you have fun.
Yes, sir. I love what we're doing here. I love the fact that we're able to talk about the quarterbacks that I train week in and week out. I'm very excited about this episode specifically, week 3. This might be my favorite one that we're going to go through. We'll find out later why. But yeah, Bobby, I love what we're doing here. We're just getting started, like you mentioned. We're having a lot of fun. Week 3 is now going to be in the books. So stay tuned for a great show.
Yeah, I tell you what. After what we did, we talked about being out the other day. We went to one of your trainings, met with a couple of your quarterbacks, got some interviews with them, and they were very great kids. Some good prospects coming up here in 2021. One actually in 2023. He's so young, but he's bigger than everybody else out there on the field. It's kind of exciting to see where this young man will be going. But I tell you what, Balin, you've got a good program going on out there. A lot of things happening with these kids. And the one thing that I found a little bit good about was that you're helping these kids get into the next level as well. We had a recruiting fair over the weekend at the Orlando Marriott World Center over here in Orlando. Mark Line, coordinator of the Cure Classic All-Star Game here in the Orange County area, did a great job setting all that up and brought the coaches and the high school coaches and the college coaches together in the morning. And if the college coaches wanted to see some of those kids, the kids came back in the afternoon. You had a little bit of insight on that, taking a couple of your guys over there. So tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, it was a cool thing. I got word of it through one of the head coaches, my good coach and friend, Jeff Higgins, who is now the head coach at Toho. He told me about this recruiting fair, and I saw something a little bit on Twitter. So I reached out to Mark Line myself, and I said, hey, look, I know I'm not a high school coach, but I got about 3 quarterbacks right now looking for a home, and they didn't sign on signing day. One actually was in college previously. And so I'm like, hey, do you mind if I somehow get in? He goes, oh, no problem. I'll put you on the list as their quarterback trainer. We'll get you in there, try to come at that 1 o'clock time where they're allowed to bring the athletes, which is perfect for me, which is why you were able to come see my training in the morning. And then I got to do that. And 3 of the athletes that I brought were Patrick Knight, who was an ESPN top 300 quarterback coming out of high school back in 2018. He played at Liberty High School, also Haines City, and came back to Liberty. He was a special talent, 6'5", 216. Has a laser arm, and you got to see a little bit of him at my training as well, along with Logan Irvin. Logan was a Lake Minneola quarterback for 3 years, ended up going back to Ohio to be with his dad after 3 heart attacks, unfortunately. And then through the whole COVID pandemic, Ohio closed all football activities, so he wasn't able to play his senior year. And the last one was David Brown from University High School. He transferred there after being in Las Vegas for a long time, and he had to work with his dad, so he unfortunately didn't get to play his senior year. So 3 guys looking for a home. So I'm like, hey, what better way to go to a college recruiting fair, get to talk to some of those colleges, hopefully land a spot. And fortunately for them, all 3 got offers. So I'm really excited about that. And one specifically, Logan, is already having an official visit this week at St. Thomas University, and then later Weber International, where I played. And then Patrick Knight got a full scholarship to Florida Community Christian College, which is now the new JUCO down in Tampa. So he's going to be going there. He's a Division I talent, so I think that's the best way to go that route. He was at Garden City before, came back because his mom was going through some financial problems, so he came back and decided to help her out, but now he's going back to college for free, and I think he's going to be the best quarterback in the JUCO level next year, and then hopefully play Division I, see him on Saturday in big-time, primetime games. So David Brown, he's kind of deciding whether he wants to go the football route. I just found out he has an opportunity to go professional in MMA, which is a completely different spectrum than the quarterback position. But he's one of those kids, man. He works so hard, and I'm so proud of each one of these guys. And I look forward to hopefully seeing all 3, but at least 2 guaranteed playing college football next year.
Yeah, I remember looking at Mr. Brown and saying, buddy, you're a little bit bigger than a quarterback. I'm glad you're my friend right now.
Yeah,
he's a big guy. I tell you what, if he's going to MMA, that's something he'll be right up his alley with, because he's strong. I'll tell you that.
Right.
But go back to Mr. Knight over there, Patrick Knight, that you mentioned before, played in college before, had to come home. Now he's got another opportunity, man. That's special in someone's life. Trust me, because that's a big deal for this young man. He's very, very good. He's got all the tools of a D1 quarterback, height, weight, just got that laser arm. Get somebody to toolage him underleg like you have a little bit, with the training and everything like that. This kid is going to be special. Remember to keep that name under written down somewhere, because you're going to see this young man definitely in the future playing on Saturdays on TV somewhere. So congratulations to that, Balin. That's a testament to you, how your program works and what you do for these kids. So great job. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got a really special episode this week. I know Balin's sitting over there smiling because a very special tribute to one of his special players. So you really don't want to miss it. Also coming up in the show, we've got tips coming from the field as far as for quarterbacks coming up here, starting young all the way to your beginning high school level tips from Balin. So Balin, looking forward to it, man. Episode number 3 on the way.
Yeah, hopefully I don't get too emotional.
There you go. There you go. We'll be back right after this. You're watching the TRU Sports Show here on the Varsity Sports Network. Welcome back, everybody, here to the TRU Sports Show. Here, Bobby Lattimore, along with Balin Trujillo. And Balin, as we said before we went to the break, someone very special in your life that you want to highlight this week. Unfortunate situation with him in his senior year, the last game of the season. But it's your cousin, Cohen Kohler, who at Lake Howell High School, the Silverhawks senior quarterback over there. I'll let you tell him everything. I don't want to say anything else more about it. So tell us a little bit more about Cohen.
Yeah, man, this is going to be a great episode. This is something that, I'm glad that I'm able to do. And thank you, Bobby and VSN Network, for allowing me to, again, really showcase the quarterbacks that I train. But this particular one is going to mean the most to me because he is my blood. He is someone that I got to see raise literally from the moment he was born all the way up until this point in his life. So again, we're going to talk about his story and how he's gotten to where he is today and hopefully what he plans to do in the future as we're going to interview him in the next segment. And you're going to get to literally hear from his word and his voice about the impact that my training has had for him and the impact that football's had on his life with his family and his future. On August 30th, 2003, Cohen Gene Kohler was born. In that moment, as I was standing in the hospital room, holding him for the first time, I knew a star was born. Cohen quickly learned to play sports, first with basketball out in his backyard, to running track and winning every race he ran. But it was while he was playing soccer at the age of 3 and 4 when I knew he was special. Every game he played, he scored every goal, even if it was for the other team. He played baseball, golf, and tennis for a small stint, then earned a black belt in karate. But as soon as he touched that football, it was all over. He started out by playing flag football under his dad, my uncle, and won multiple championships and MVPs. Finally, by the 7th grade, my uncle let me have him to train specifically at the quarterback position, and after the first session, I knew he was born to be a quarterback. His 8th grade year, he started for me on my 15U Rat Pack 7-on-7 team. In our first tournament together, he led us to becoming the Pie Line Champions, which is the biggest national 7-on-7 tournament in the country. After plenty of discussions with his family, they decided to let him attend Lake Howell High School, and he started on the freshman football team. His first ever pass on freshman was a touchdown. He finished his freshman season with a winning record and threw 5 touchdowns in just 6 games in a triple option offense. Cohen went into the spring as a freshman battling for the starting quarterback position, and his first pass on varsity was a touchdown versus Windermere. Cohen ended up earning the starting quarterback position going into his sophomore year under new head coach Sean Lorenzano. His sophomore year was a bit up and down, but played his best games in a win over Westport 10-7, who had one of the top quarterbacks in the country in Brian Maurer, who is now at the University of Tennessee, and against Ocoee, in which he threw 2 touchdowns and also rushed for another. Throughout his junior year, he led Lake Howell to their best start in program history, going 5-2 and only 1 win away to claim a district championship versus Winter Springs, but unfortunately came up short. Lake Howell finished the season 5-5. With the success of his junior year, Cohen quickly started gaining state and national exposure. He was invited on several unofficial visits, first to USF, and also hang out with the starting quarterback Jordan McLeod, who I also trained. The second school was Kaiser University, followed by UCF, FSU, and finished with Harvard. Through his success of his junior year and all these unofficial visits, he was later selected as one of the top quarterbacks in the state and earned an invite to compete in the biggest quarterback camp in the country, the Elite 11. But due to COVID, the event, which would have taken place on his home turf at Lake Howell, was canceled. He was selected to play in the All-American Classic Bowl game at Feltham Sports. His first game of his senior year against Tenorock, Cohen scored 3 rushing touchdowns on his first 4 carries and led them to a 41-0 blowout win. Lake Hal's offense was built around Cohen's ability to run the football, and he averaged 2 rushing touchdowns a game. Cohen finished his Lake Hal career in the first quarter versus rival district Lyman, a team that had beaten Lake Hal 8 straight times. After scoring a 25-yard rushing touchdown in the opening drive of the game, Cohen rolled out on his second series to his left and broke his collarbone on his throwing shoulder as he was going out of bounds. Lake Hal ended up winning the game and snapping the losing streak. Once Cohen's career was officially over in high school, I reached out to several coaches, and with the great relationship that I have built through my trainings with recruiting coordinator Coach David Kelly at Florida Atlantic University, he offered Cohen a preferred walk-on December 11, 2020. After looking back at his whole entire career, starting as a sophomore, which is something that he's going to be able to say for the rest of his life, and how hard it is to do that, especially at the quarterback position, to be at a high level and start on varsity as a sophomore, Cohen's career stats ended with 2,675 passing yards, 22 passing touchdowns with 16 rushing touchdowns, and he will arguably go down as one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback to ever play at Lake Hal High School.
Balin, what a true testament to you and everything else in Cohen's life. Just a great kid. And we had the opportunity to interview him here recently. And when we come back, we're going to see that interview on the show here. So don't go anywhere, folks. We've got a lot more coming up here on the TRU Sports Show. You're watching it here on the Varsity Sports Network. Welcome back, everybody, here to the TRU Sports Show. Bobby Latmore here along with Balin Trujillo. And Balin, what a great testament to your cousin there, Cohen Kohler. He's just a wonderful kid. We did have the opportunity to interview him here recently. I know you're excited to get to that, so let's go right to that interview and see and hear from Cohen. Let's go right to that interview and hear from Cohen himself.
What's up, Cohen? I know you know the world knows who you are now, my cousin. I'm so proud of you and your career, and those that listen just know kind of your backstory and how you got to this point. But Cohen, talk to me about what you're doing now. Now that football's over, your career is done. As far as high school is concerned, what are the things that you're doing that's going to prepare you for your next step in your life?
I've just been trying to stay in good physical shape. I've been playing lacrosse a little bit, but I'm really just trying to keep my grades right and get ready for college.
Awesome. So speaking of college, I know you had opportunity, like I just mentioned, in your story, you had an opportunity to have a preferred walk-on offer at Florida Atlantic University. You've been talking to the UCF coaches for a while now, hopefully waiting for them to pull the trigger. What exactly do you envision your next steps is as far as college? Are you still wanting to play college football, or are you just trying to go into academics? Like what's the next move for you?
Honestly, Balin, I don't really know. I've been kind of sitting on that idea for a while, and I'm still trying to make a decision whether it's I go 2 hours to play at FAU, 2 hours away from home, or I want to stay here and try to pursue the UCF offer more, or if I just want to go and get good academics somewhere in college. I'm still sitting on that question right now as we speak. So
now I know, you mentioned lacrosse, and I know you're a pretty dang good lacrosse player. If the opportunity presents itself to play lacrosse at the Division I level or college in general, would you be willing to take that as well? Or is it kind of the football route and that's it?
Yeah, it's kind of the football route or that's it. Lacrosse is my fun sport. It's just a good thing to keep me in shape in the spring. And it's just, all my friends play it, and it's a really fun atmosphere for me to be in the off season of football.
Awesome. Now, Cohen, I want to dive in a little bit to our trainings. I've been training you since I think it was like the 7th grade is when your dad finally bought into what I was doing. And, I've been so proud of you and watching your career develop and how you've pretty much taken the quarterback position by the horn and really led Lake Hal to a lot of good things and done a lot of special things on the field. But your training has definitely helped you with that. What did you get mostly out of just training with me, even though I'm your cousin, but just as a quarterback trainer, what is some of the stuff that you learned under my leadership?
I would say the main thing is consistency. Whenever I would come to a training 2 to 3 times a week and really on the ball with it, keep going, not missing a single training, it really shows in all the drills that I do and all the results that I get out of it. It's really, and it's it's really just consistency, really. I mean, I love going to the trainings and seeing all my friends. I made a lot of good friends out there at training, just people just like me playing the same position. So I mean, it's fun, and at the same time, it's a good place to go and get better.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, Cohen, I won't lie, man. Your junior year was definitely special to watch, and like you mentioned, I mean, you did not miss training. You loved it. You would always reach out to me and say where you're at. You'd make drives over an hour. That was pretty awesome just to see you develop in the last couple of years, especially as of recent, man, and just see the performance you've been doing on the field. I mean, you started as a true sophomore in high school. That's pretty special in itself at Lake Cal. And man, you did a lot of good things like Elite 11 you were invited to, making All-American games, setting school records. So all that stuff plays into part. But what is the one moment or memory that you have at Lake Cal that you'll cherish the most as a football player or even at quarterback?
It has to be my first win as a sophomore. My first win as a starter was against Westport. It was came down to the wire. We played against Brian Maurer, who's now at Tennessee, but came down to the wire, and our defense made a goal line stop, and we all just went crazy. And it was a sign to me that like I had a great future there at Lake Howell, and that I would pursue it for the next 2 years of my life. And it was an awesome moment.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, I do remember that game. Unfortunately, I was not there for that, but I do remember getting the call after the game, and you told me that you'd won. And obviously, Brian Maurer at that point was already an Elite 11 finalist. He was already nationally recruited. And the fact that your first win was against him, I mean, that's something that I still talk to him about to this day. Whenever I mention it, I was like, my cousin has a win over you. But that's awesome, man. What about Lake Howell did you love the most? Like, what about that atmosphere playing at Lake Howell? I mean, was it the student section? Was it playing on the turf field? Was it playing against some of your rivals that Oviedo and Winter Springs and stuff that you kind of, or we kind of made happen? Like, what exactly about Lake Howell did you love?
Well, I mean, I grew up 2 minutes down the road from Lake Howell, so everything I did whenever I was little was Lake Howell. So just going out there on the field as a little kid and seeing all the high school kids out there, going to the high school games when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and then really being able to experience it on the field with the student section and everybody chanting and going crazy. That was really it. Probably the student section, just everybody going crazy. But unfortunately, during the pandemic this year, it hasn't been as crazy, but it's still a lot of fun.
Now, as the listeners know now how your career kind of ended, talk about that moment when you broke your collarbone in your last game against Lyman. You guys beat Lyman, which was the first time they'd done it in almost, a decade. And you finally got it done your senior year. You scored the opening game's touchdown. Unfortunately, I was on my way to the game. I missed it, but I watched it live on the YouTube live, and that was really cool to see. But just talk about that moment when it actually happened. And I know I was a wreck. I mean, I was crying pretty much for the rest of the game. It was so emotional for me just to see how your career ends, and it's unfortunate through an injury. But talk about that moment, like when it happened and what the emotions you were feeling in that moment, knowing this could probably be the last time I ever step on Lake Howell's field, being all those memories that you've created.
Mm-hmm. No, of course. Yeah. Whenever I first got tackled and I felt the pain, it was just, I was just in shock, really. And then whenever I got to the sideline, I was in more shock, more pain. I knew something was very, very wrong. And they wanted to take me to the hospital right then and there to get it checked out and x-ray. But I was like, no, I want to stay here with all my boys and just enjoy one last final home game. And I knew then that my career was over, but I knew that my future was in God's hands, and I trusted him. And that was really what got through my injury was God and Christ.
Oh man, that's what it's all about. So Cohen, after talking about your career in football and obviously me training you and stuff, I want to know a little bit more about who influenced you to play sports or to get into sports at a young age. I remember, going to a lot of your sporting events when you were a little kid, like soccer, and then ultimately the t-ball. That was a short stint in baseball, and then basketball you played a little bit, and then obviously you stuck with football pretty much for your whole career in sports. but who were the main people that influenced you to pursue sports or maybe even just stick with football? Like who were those people?
Obviously one, it's got to be you, Balin, because you've been in my life since the day I was born, and I have all those pictures of me at your Pop Warner practices, high school practices, college practices. So I mean, obviously number one would be you, but also my dad. My dad started me in like 4 different sports when I was younger: soccer, baseball, football, you name it, all of them. And really, he was one of the main people to push me to get into sports, and I just kind of stuck with it.
Wow. That means a lot to me, man. You have no idea, dude. You're like my favorite kid in the world, man. Shoot, I hope my son's just like you. But Lord willing, when I have one. But so now at this point, who are you looking for in the future for guidance? Who's like your influence, or like someone that is a role model for you to kind of be like when you go into your next phase of life, whether that's, college sports or just in the workforce in general?
Yeah. I don't have a mentor yet for that kind of field, but I do know I want to go into financial advisement, deal with stocks and helping people plan for their future. Really, that's all I know as of now for my future, but that's something that I would want to get into.
Oh wow, I had no idea. Financial advising, that's where the money's at.
Honestly, man, I don't know. That's too far in the future for me, to be honest. I'm still figuring out where I'm going to college, what I'm going to major in. So, I mean, I'm not looking too far ahead as of now, but that's a field that interests me. I'll say I don't have anybody to look up to who does it. I don't have any businesses that I would want to reach out to yet, but it's just an idea for me.
So now, Cohen, that we've talked about your career playing at Lake Cal, also now your opportunities that you have playing at the next level, or even if it doesn't work out to play college football, what you might want to do with financial advising. If you could go back and change anything in your life, whether that's your playing career or, some of the things that you may have done during the process or even now, is there anything that you would change?
Well, obviously, number one for any athlete, it's going to be work harder. Of course, I would love to have worked harder for my dreams. But one thing that I would change is I feel like I would want to meet more people and form more relationships. I feel like those are very, very important whenever you start to grow up and get into college and find out what you want to do with the rest of your life. Really, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And that's just one thing I would have wanted to learn at a younger age, but now I'm having to learn it now, how to form relationships, talk to people, get to know people. And that's just one thing I would want to have learned at a younger age.
Balin, that young man is just an absolute testament of who you are, who his family is. Congratulations, man. That's all I can say, because you did a good job with Cohen. And unfortunately, with his collarbone break, the last game of the season, you hate to see that. But you know what? He persevered. He knows what he's going to do in his life. And I mean, that's just a character builder that you guys created, him and his family have created through his life. So good job. What'd you think of that interview?
I loved it, man. Just to hear him say that, I was a big impact and influence in his life. I mean, that just means the world to me. I mean, I cried like a baby, and I'm getting emotional now just talking about it. But man, I just, just seeing him and the growth that he's had over these years, and just to see him live out, the dream that I never got. I didn't get to really start till my senior year, but to see him and be there with 3 full years of watching him develop at the quarterback position. And with my high school football scoreboard show, we really marketed Lake Cal because of Cohen, and I wanted to see all his big games. And I was fortunate enough to see some of the best performances he's ever put on, especially against East River his junior year, which I thought was going to be the district championship. And I mean, it's just special to see his career. And Cohen is my favorite person in the world, other than my wife, to be honest with you. And I love him, and I love his career, and I love where he's going to be headed, whether that's football or not. He's going to be very successful, because I know him deep down, and I know his drive, and I know the type of person he is. He will be successful at anything he does, and I just hope it is to continue to play the game so I can watch him more. But if not, I can walk away and know I did everything I could to give this kid the best opportunity possible to live out his dream of playing college football, but ultimately have a lot of success in high school and walk away with many memories that he'll cherish forever.
No doubt. No doubt about it. He definitely will. We're going to take another break. When we come back, more here on the TRU Sports Show here on the Varsity Sports Network. Here we go. Welcome back, everybody, here to the TRU Sports Show here on the Varsity Sports Network. Bobby Lattimore, Balin Trujillo on the call up here tonight. And just, Balin, great weekend this weekend. Let's talk a little bit about your quarterback camp that you had on Saturday. I was fortunate to go out there. Started off kind of wet, but we persevered. Weather got really good after that. But you've got a lot of good training out there this weekend, didn't you?
Yeah, man. So my Saturday sessions are a lot of invites. So I sent out like invite onlys to a lot of the top quarterbacks here in Central Florida, so they can come out and compete together on a Saturday. And it's in a centralized location out in Davenport. We're Northeast Regional Park. There's like 6 turf fields. I have access to any of those fields anytime I need it. And so when I go out there, I really wanted to compete. And I really want the best to be around, whether they're coming from Tampa, Ocala, Bartow, Lakeland, Orlando, Westport. It doesn't matter. Ocala. I just want all the top quarterbacks to be there. And then some of the top youth guys are out there so they can see what it takes to get to that level. So those Saturday sessions are pretty big. We had about 15 to 16 this weekend. And again, we had like a 2-hour rain delay, but we weren't going nowhere because those kids traveled and we're going to get in whether it's going to be in the rain or not. And fortunately for us, the skies opened up and we got to get right at it. And I'm just blessed, man. I'm very blessed to be in the position I am now and to reach out to these young quarterbacks and make an impact on their lives like I did with my cousin Cohen and the many others that I train. And, I find myself sometimes watching these trainings and just, asking how in the world did I get here? Like, how am I? Why is God using me to be in these kids' lives and to help them? And that in itself fuels me to keep going and to make sure that I don't take that for granted, because it is something that I cherish and it is the passion of mine, which is why I got out of high school coaching and I will never coach high school football again, because I am so driven into this quarterback training stuff and traveling and meeting quarterbacks all across the country and doing stuff like that. So, I mean, this weekend was great and I look forward to many more Saturdays because that's usually my big ones. And again, it's all about these kids, and if they can use these tools to be successful in their life and get opportunities to play college, that's what it's all about.
So let's head out to the field. Check out Dominic and Coach Trujillo as we check out Tip of the Week here on the TRU Sports Show.
So throughout the weeks on my show, we're going to learn a little bit more about the quarterback position. I'm going to give you guys tips at home if you guys are watching, whether you're youth, in middle school, high school, even college guys, or guys that are still playing professionally. Guys, I'm going to give you tips on how to become a better quarterback and what the fundamental tools you need to be successful. And the first thing you got to start with is the quarterback throw. When a lot of times quarterbacks, they like to drop the elbow or they like to throw from the side, and it just looks very bad. And when I talk to college coaches about the quarterbacks that I train and giving them the opportunity to go to the next level, they're looking for little details. And the first thing they look at is their throwing motion. Is it quick? Is it long? Is it coming from the side? Is it over the top? Is it over exaggerated? Does it drop? Little details like that. So here's a little drill that I'm going to use as a demonstration with one of my young quarterbacks. He's 12 years old, Dominique Sanguin. And I'm going to show you a little thing that you can do at home, not even with a trainer, that's going to help you with the proper mechanics of throwing a football. So this is Dominique Sanguin. I'm going to show you guys again what I mean about the proper way to throw a football, because again, it's all about arm angles. So the first thing you're going to do, whether you have a pole at your home or you have a wall or a goal post, anything that's flat surfaced, you want to have the tip of the ball right on it. Make it a 90-degree angle with your elbow. Get as close as you can to the pole or the wall. You're going to have your left arm, or if your opposite arm you're throwing, grabbed onto your shoulder. All we're going to do is step, and from this angle, come in here, down and throw. Right, Dominique? So we're here. We step, we come straight down. If we go sidearm, trust me, parents are going to be very upset because they're going to visit their kids in the hospital. Why? Because their arm's going to be broke. Because if I go sidearm, I'm going to hit whatever that's there, whether it's the tree, the pole, it doesn't matter, because I'm focused on the arm angle going straight down over the top. Elbow to target, fully extend. Again, if I throw sidearm, it's going to snap. So it's a psychological thing, right, Dominic? So we want to come straight down. How about you demonstrate? Show me. Step, throw. Good. So after the first tip of learning how to get the ball over the top and not throwing sidearm, fully extending, now we're going to go from this position to now the ending position. So now the ball at the tip is going to be 90 degrees behind you. Same thing, we're going to step, come through. That's the finish. So the first tip is when we come here, boom, 90 degrees. The last tip is now the end of the throw. Okay. So from here, this is the end of the throw. So we're going to step again, ball's on the back, 90 degrees, follow through with your throw. Again, it's not a sidearm, it's already here. This is the end of the throw. So we're already pushing back. We're here, we step, we throw. Step, throw. Good. That's perfect right there. Good. So after we learn how the proper techniques to throw a football, which again, you want to eliminate the sidearm throw, you want to eliminate the dropping of the ball, you want to use this left arm to push the ball up. Here's our 90 degrees, here's our 90 degrees, follow through. So
Balin, our third episode, man. Another good one.
Yeah, this was probably my favorite one, again, because of my cousin Cohen and letting the viewers and the listeners hear his story and all the success that he had in his career. Like I said, I'm very blessed to have a front row seat in that, and hopefully have another front row seat and to see how he continues his career. Maybe he helps me with my trainings. Who knows? I want him around me as much as possible, and I love the kid to death. And like I said, he's probably my favorite human being other than my wife. Well,
no matter where he goes, he's going to be successful based on the upbringing that he's had. So congratulations on that. That's going to do it for tonight's show. Make sure to tune in next week as we get another episode of Quarterback Training with quarterback guru Balin Trujillo here on the TRU Sports Show here on the Varsity Sports Network. We'll see you then.